Good evening. My name is Andy Schell, and I'm with the Sooke Multi-Belief Initiative, and it's our pleasure this evening to co-sponsor with the Sooke Chamber of Commerce tonight's session. It's an all-candidates meeting. It's an opportunity for you to learn more about the people, about their ideas, their vision for Sooke, and we're very grateful for their participation, and we're very grateful for your attendance. Thank you very much for coming. There's a few things that I just want to lay out kind of the groundwork of how we're going to organize tonight's session. It's going to be divided into three parts. The first part is going to be an introductory session where each candidate will have 3 minutes to talk about whatever they'd like to talk about. What's on their hearts, what's their vision for what they want to do in Sooke, what influences they think they can bring to bear. The topics that they choose to use or to bring up in front of you, it's theirs alone. We're not trying to influence that one bit. That will take approximately half an hour. At the end of the half hour, we're going to move on to part two. And part two is much more kind of interparticipatory, i.e. each candidate will be at a table. There are 7 tables around the room. You, the voters, will have an opportunity to go and rotate around those tables to ask direct questions of each candidate and listen to their responses. Each session will be approximately 10 minutes. That gives you a chance to go to one table, ask questions, move on to the next table. My timekeeper here, Koshin Moonfest, who's a fellow co-member of the SMBI, will be the timekeeper. And he won't be shy about letting everybody know the time is up. His little bell is pretty penetrating. You'll hear it no matter where you are. So that's session 2, and then at the end of that section of tonight's affair, that's about an hour. Then we're going to have a few pre-prepared questions, depending on the time allotment, how much time we have left. The questions, we had 3 prepared, and we've submitted those to the candidates in advance. They deal with things like traffic and infrastructure, economic development coupled with environmental stewardship, and housing and affordability. So if you haven't heard about those issues in your going around the tables, then the candidates will address that at the very end. That should take us through to about 8:30, where the formal evening ends. We have to vacate the premises at 9 o'clock. So there's time between 8:30 and 9 for you to go and interact with the candidates. I'm sure they'll be happy to stick around for a few minutes after 8:30, but we do have to actually leave the facilities by 9 o'clock. But that should allow us a good lot of time to get to know the people, get to know their ideas, and have an opportunity for you to ask your own personal questions of each candidate. So with that, let's get started. And we're going to do the candidates by alphabetical order by last name. So the first speaker will be Shaun Burns.
Thank you very much. So my vision for Sooke is as follows. I moved here 3 years ago with my wife because we were coming here every weekend. We were coming out here to hike. We were coming out here to play with our dogs. We were coming out here for the breweries. That is something I do not ever want to see change. That being said, having had the ability to live all around the world in numerous countries and numerous sized cities, there's a lot Sooke could use. Where we are now, as far as I'm concerned, is from an infrastructure standpoint, 15, 20 years behind. And it's simple things. It's not the average person when they make a comment, they say, oh, you know, the highway's too packed up. It is. But that's not a municipal problem necessarily. What is our problem is we don't have proper crosswalks. We don't have streetlights. We have obstructed corners, so you see people hitting things. Cyclists are in danger. Pedestrians are in danger. The elderly and the youth, they're in danger because they don't want to talk to the community because, hey, if the road's dangerous, why cross it? These are some things I think we should be looking into. They're simple things that we could fix. I think what we have to do is our approach to the province has to change. We can no longer show up and say, hey, we live here, we know best. It doesn't work. starting any conversation with, here's how it should be done, does not tend to make friends. It tends to make enemies, or it makes an antagonistic reputation. So now when the ministry sees, oh, it's Sooke, okay, well, just put that at the bottom of the file. So what we have to do is we have to approach it as a relationship-guided business. We have to approach them and say, we understand what you want. We're not going to drag our feet and say, no, but we don't want that way. We have to say, okay, what can we do to get this in a timely manner, and hopefully you'll pay for it? What can we do to get the little things we need extra, and how can we help you? Because I think for the longest time, we're seeing this approach where the government just views us as the belligerent child that refuses to eat their vegetables. And it's not going to help. And you look at the development of Sooke, it's been slowed because of either we've been trying to override people saying, well, we know best. Well, now there's provincial bills in place that have told us, we don't care, we're going to do it anyway. Sooke does not have the infrastructure in place that we need. It doesn't have the economy we need. We have a tourist economy, essentially. That's great if people want to come here, and if they can come here. If they can't, for whatever reason, highway's too full, money's tight, we suffer. We have to build out. We have to do more commercial. We have to do mixed uses. We have to try and do things so that we can keep people to going to Langford and spending money here. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Nick Dickinson-Wilde.
Thanks. Greetings. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Sooke Multi-Belief Initiative and Sooke Chamber of Commerce for this event. I also am very pleased to see a pretty much full room here. We have 7 candidates. That's great engagement on the candidate side of things for a single seat. I would honestly like to see this room be 5 times its size and still full. Our municipal turnout historically has been very low. Please, whoever you vote for, get out, vote, get your family, get your neighbors, make that trip on the 2nd, the 9th, or the 12th. Get out and vote. So, my name is Nick Dickinson-Wilde. I'm a small business owner. I mainly do web development. I won't bore you with the details of the web development I do. It's beside the point. I have both done large, long-term projects and also short-term, multiple projects at once of juggling an agency-style business of many different competing priorities. I've also done some construction, farming, caregiving, and some accounting. I'm also Judge A certified with Karate BC and a karate instructor here in Sooke. I also have a 21-month-old kid. I ran for election, last general election. Having a 21-month-old kid has not changed my views at all. It has just escalated my urgency in bringing actual action to council. I feel that council has long been focused on just keeping things the way they are, but not really planning for change or planning to keep things the way they are. Just keep it slow down on the change. That may have worked for a while, but our infrastructure is lagging. There was discussion about the Throop Road to Phillips Connection 20 years ago. It was too expensive then. It should have been brought back up to a referendum 10 years ago, not talking about it next year. That's what I mean by we're not doing long-term planning. So really, we need to do more long-term planning. We need more roads. I love nature. Most of my time that I'm not doing my job, I'm outside. Before he was 1, my kid had been to the top of at least 10 of the peaks of the Sooke Hills. But that said, our roads are currently unsafe. If we don't have an alternate route out of Sooke, if there's a wildfire, it's fundamentally unsafe. So yes, we need more roads. We need a second bridge. That's going to cost money, but we need to plan for it, and we need to get the planning in process. So if there's federal or provincial funding, we can jump on it and just move on it now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. The next speaker is Herb Haldane.
Thank you very much. I've lived in this community a long time, some might say 60 years now, but when I was first on council, I remember going to my first Union of BC Municipalities conference, and the guy that got up in front of me, and I was around 44 years old back then, and the fellow started talking about all the councillors in the room, and they were explaining how you have to build a community for everybody. And the reason that I think that he gave that big speech was because most councillors in the room were well over 60 years old. And most councillors are councillors because they're retired and they have the time and the ability to do the job. So the speaker wanted to remind everybody that communities are for young people, working class, middle class, disenfranchised. They're for everybody. And the problem I think we run into nowadays is the same thing keeps going on that this fellow was talking about, which is we have lots of seniors who end up being on councils, and they tend to want to focus in what they need for themselves, for their own lifestyles, and retiring, and let's face it, quality of life, because time's limited. So we focus on trails, and we focus on parks, and we focus on the environment, and we focus on all this stuff that's really important to us now, when once upon a time, as I was at 44, thinking, wow, you know, he's lecturing all these seniors who are sitting in front of me in these meetings. Well, now that I'm one, I do get why seniors look for the things they do in official community plans and doing all the stuff that they do, but I still don't lose the focus of why I would do it, why I'm here, and I think young people is my focus. I've got everything I need in life. I don't need to change the world here in my town to try and focus it on everything that I have to have or I need for myself. So I'd like to stay focused on what everybody needs. And when I was a kid, it was funny, we had 2 grocery stores and there was 1,500 people in the town. We still have 2 grocery stores and there's 20,000 people. So we have to focus on building the community, getting more commercial here, getting more stuff for young people, and to offset, obviously, the tax base and whatnot. And commercial tax base is 4 times what residential tax base is, as is industrial. And right now, our community is paid for by residents because we have no industrial, no commercial, and we have lots of houses and lots of people living here. There was a speaker at an FCM that I went to, a federal one, who talked about where everybody in Canada was going to move when they got old, and this was in 2010. And the number 1 place where he talked about where everybody would move would be southern Vancouver Island. And that's quite apparent to me now in 2025, 15 years later, everybody in this country wants to live here. So we have to do something to plan now for it. We have to get the right people in place to make it work. And I think the big thing here is we've got a nice diverse group of people here running for this 1 council seat. The only issue we run into when we're coming through 3 years into a term is that we don't have the time and energy to wait for people to get caught up. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Herb. Next speaker is Nathan McKeown.
Hello, everyone. Old face to Sooke, new to politics, so hopefully you can bear with me a little bit here. For those who don't know me yet, my name is Nathan McKeown, and I'm running for Sooke Council. For over 41 years, I've been a proud member of this community, growing up here and raising my own family here over that time. I've built my career. I did trades in carpentry and finishing and house building, and eventually moved on to project management. I have experienced and contribute directly to Sooke's growth in the past, so I have a good seed on what it takes to help build this community. My experience in residential building and project management equips me with the skills necessary, I believe, to actually help this community move forward. My vision for Sooke centers on the balancing of sustainable growth with the preservation of unique character in its environment. We have a very special place here. I think we can all recognize that. This means that tackling traffic congestion on heads-on through strategic initiatives and investments, we need to target key routes. Obviously, Highway 14 is a point of contention for everybody, but I also think we need to work on improving roads throughout the community, opening up arteries to direct traffic directly to the neighborhoods, just so people can almost circumvent all the central core of Sooke, where everybody just seems to be getting dogpiled and trying to get the same services and goods at the same time. It also means exploring alternatives to car dependency. I'd like to see an expansion of the transit system here. It's convenient for some that commute to Victoria, but for those who want to get around the town, it's not very convenient. We have long intervals between bus service and not regular daily use. Another component of my campaign is responsible fiscal management. It means transparent budgeting, data-driven decision-making, and exploring innovative strategies to meet our community's needs without unnecessarily increasing property taxes. Includes identifying potential cost savings through improved operational efficiency, exploring opportunities for shared services with neighboring municipalities, ensuring that we're operating within our means and using our financial resources effectively. This includes securing funds through a variety of sources, including municipal budgets, seeking out grants from the province and possibly the feds, and exploring possibilities for private-public partnerships whenever appropriate. Finally, fostering strong partnerships with town residents, local business, and the Aboriginal community through meaningful engagement with all stakeholders means that building a truly inclusive community. This is a critical long-term health to our community. I am committed to working collaboratively to find creative solutions to the challenge that we all face. It's time for a decisive action to ensure lasting fiscal stability, enhanced opportunities for increased employment, and to enrich people's lives within our community. I invite everybody to have a discussion with me tonight, and I hope to have your vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nathan. Our next speaker is Elaine Price.
I have a cheering gallery here. My name's Elaine Price. I'm a nurse by profession, recently retired. I put my name forward for this by-election because I believe in this community. I was born and raised in Drumheller, Alberta, a small town, so I know the benefits and the drawbacks of living in a small town living. My family and I moved to BC in '86 at the height of Expo, and I worked at UBC Hospital in various nursing capacities before transitioning to community nursing and finally long-term care sector as an executive director. I'm a proud British Columbian and a grateful resident of our unique community. Before considering adding my name to the list of candidates for council in this election, I paid particular attention to the community's strategic priorities to confirm that those priorities aligned with my own personal values. The community's mission statement contains aspirational goals to maintain our sense of identity, to manage growth responsibly, and to ensure a diverse and resilient local economy. The question is how to achieve these. I believe through effective governance, strong advocacy with senior levels of government, and consistent and clear communication with all stakeholders. These elements demand an official community plan. I'm committed to responsible economic development. Growth should reflect who we are. I support a local economy that honors Sooke's history and builds a strong, diverse, and resilient future. I'm committed to sustainable growth. I believe in thoughtful planning that supports housing, services, and transportation without compromising the natural beauty and the environment that defines this community. I'm committed to appropriate infrastructure that should match our community's needs. I support realistic, phased development that prioritizes livability and long-term sustainability. I'm committed to community safety, but what does that mean? To me, it means creating the conditions where everyone feels secure, supported, and connected, meeting housing needs, healthcare needs, transportation needs, educational needs, economic needs to ensure a quality of life for all, especially our youth and elders. Why elect me? I have both business and healthcare background. I've owned my own business and worked as an RN at the bedside and in healthcare administration. For the past 20 years, my focus has been on elder care. I was privileged to serve on the board of directors of BC Care Providers for 12 years, many of those years on the executive as president. Our association established a code of ethics. Oh dear. So I learned effective board governance. Over the course of my career, I've learned how to prioritize and focus on what was important and how to act. Sooke is my chosen community. I look forward to the privilege of serving this community on council, and I ask for your vote on July the 12th. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Our next speaker is Helen Ritts.
Hello, my name is Helen Ritts. I have lived in the community for 17 years, and I feel incredibly lucky to call this place home. I have 20 years as a communications director for an urban planning and architecture firm. I'm actively involved in the community. I was the chair of the Official Community Plan Advisory Committee for 2 years. I'm a member of the, current member of the Land Use Committee, a regular attendee of council meetings for several years. I'm an active volunteer with the Sooke Garden Club, Emergency Services, Friends of Sooke Parks, Wandafika Community Trails. And as importantly, what I'm not a developer. I don't own investment properties or land around town. I'm not affiliated with a political party. My campaign message is keeping it Sooke. Let's protect what we love and plan wisely for what's next. And that really came from my time as the chair of the Official Community Plan. We heard from more than 2,000 residents, and if I could sum it up into a single sentence, it's, we don't want to be Langford. People in Sooke love the connection to nature. They love our small, friendly, small town feel. Growth is inevitable, but we need a plan, and we need future development to support our community vision. I would say the greatest impediment to change, to progress, is impatient. People get impatient that plans don't happen immediately, that they take so long to fulfill, and then they want to change the plan. So I'm running because I want to ensure that local voices remain at the heart of decision making, and that our community plans, these plans that were created through a democratic engagement process, are followed. Having a plan gives us a map to the future. Let's honor these plans shaped by our community, like the Official Community Plan, the Transportation Plan, the Parks and Trails Master Plan. Let's follow these plans and capitalize on this amazing seaside location that we have. Let's make the town center a place that we're proud of, where businesses and residents thrive. Let's manage growth without sprawl and habitat destruction. Let's follow our transportation plan and move traffic off Highway 14. Let's have well-connected parks and trails and safe sidewalks where people can walk and children can get to school. So I encourage you to learn more about me on my website, helenritts.ca. I'm posting daily on social media. And I think we're at a crucial time in Sooke's future, and really important that I'm so lovely that you're all out here, but come out and vote. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Helen. Our final candidate is Katherine Strongwind.
Last but not least. Oh, and I need my glasses. I'm not retired, but I do need readers. Good evening, everyone. My name is Katherine Strongwind. I am a homeowner, and I operate my national marketing and communications consulting business from my home office in Sooke. It's an honor to be here with you tonight alongside fellow candidates and community members who care deeply about the future of Sooke. I am a mother of 3 grown children, grandmother to 3, and I'm a part-time master's student at Royal Roads University in Economic Development and Communications. Before working in government and politics for several years, I worked in child protection and as a floral manager for Canada Safeway. I've served as an advisor to our current MLA and to the BC Ministers of Forests and Jobs, Economic Development and Innovation, as well as several First Nations government organizations. Most recently, I worked as a campaign manager in the federal election and on the campaign team for 2 successful candidates in provincial elections. Now it is time for me to apply what I've learned and get directly involved in the work that I respect from elected officials. I currently volunteer on several advisory boards, including the EMCS Society, the Sooke Chamber of Commerce, the Mayor's Standing Committee for Economic Development, and I operate a national nonprofit organization for survivors and adoptees of the 60s Scoop. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this conversation this evening. I'm running because I believe in a Sooke that's thriving, inclusive, and grounded in values that make this community so special, where people help each other, know each other by name, and look out for one another. From the time I moved here, I've been welcomed and embraced by that spirit, and it's inspired my commitment to serve. I'm ready to work for a future that balances growth with care, for our environment, for housing, and for the people who call this place home. I'll lead with transparency, collaboration, and heart. If you believe in a Sooke that grows stronger together, I'd be honored to earn your vote. I'm running for council because I believe in a Sooke that is inclusive, sustainable, and thriving, and I'm committed to bringing fresh energy, thoughtful leadership, and a deep sense of community engagement to the table. Above all, I'm here to listen. Your ideas shape the future, with transparency and accountability at the core of our governance. Sooke is more than just a place, it's our home, and together we can ensure it remains a vibrant, livable, and future-focused community for generations to come. It would be my absolute privilege to serve as your councillor for Sooke, and I look forward to this opportunity to answer any questions and to hear from all of you. Thank you, miigwech, and enjoy the discussion this evening.
So that concludes our introductory comments. And now we enter into part 2, which is each candidate will occupy a table around the room, and you, the participants, are free to choose whatever table you want to go to, ask whatever questions you want to ask. I do encourage you not all to rush to one table because that's going to be problematic. So hopefully we'll divide up relatively equitably around the tables, talking to the candidates, and at the 10-minute mark, we're going to ring the bell, and so you'll know it's time to move to another table, to talk to another candidate. And I encourage you not just to ask questions, but to listen to the questions of the other people at the table. You'll learn an awful lot from what they're interested in, not just your own personal interests. So with that, please, candidates, take a position at a table, and participants, have at it.
Associated with like some of the field trades for the kids. So if someone's in high school wants to convenience and bank, or at which point they eventually say, well, I might as well move because that's what the jobs are anyway. We could have them stay here. We could build this thing. It makes sense.
Our main question is around the infrastructure in Sooke for small businesses. So smaller areas for people to rent out either daily or hourly, as well as businesses that need specific licenses like daycare. They need specific amounts of space.
Daycares are really needed.
Yes.
They're all
extremely needed.
They all need it, but
there's no.
I got one other. I have one other really good idea. I think it's a good idea. So in summer, there's land set aside for a school.
yes, thank you.
Communication skills.
Yeah, and you know what?
Those men
have no communication and obstruction.
And you know what, we're all women here. My entire campaign is women. There's just like so many women. And they're all...
Well, we do. I'll tell you why, so let me answer. We have 20,000 hectares of watershed land all around Sooke and all around the Capital Region District for water. We have 13,000 hectares of parkland that the Capital Region Board owns by themselves. Forget about the stuff Sooke owns, that Langford owns, that Colwood owns.
So as I mentioned at the very beginning, there are 3 questions that we had presented to the candidates for their preparation. The 3 questions dealt with traffic and infrastructure. They dealt with economic development / environmental stewardship. And the last one was housing and affordability. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the question, and then we're going to ask the candidates to come up and just respond to each question. Again, we're going to go by alphabetical order for question number 1. We'll go by reverse alphabetical order for question number 2. And it'll be just picking names out of a hat for question number 3, and hope that that's reasonably fair. Okay, so the first question deals with traffic and infrastructure. And the question reads, with traffic congestion being a persistent issue in Sooke, what are your top infrastructure priorities over the next few years, and how will you advocate for funding and timelines from higher levels of government? So the first candidate will be alphabetical order, Shaun Burns.
Such a big question for 60 seconds. So I think the biggest issue is when we're talking about traffic, most of our problems stem from a provincial issue. So the way to get around it is to show the province that we're willing to do a lot of the dirty work, so we're willing to invest in our town. So that is, again, aside from the safer streets for street lights, sidewalks, crosswalks, doing major projects like extending the sewer past the bridge, showing them that, hey, like, we want to grow, we understand what you've asked for, and so we're going to go with what you wish, but we'd like to do it in our own terms. I think we have to stop pretending that the province will not at times supersede us, that any plan we come up with, no matter how much merit it has, will possibly be ignored, and to acknowledge, okay, you want to be in charge, we'll let you be in charge, but we're going to work with you to make it as massaged as humanly possible on our end. So it's an infrastructure investment for us, small stuff, but showing that we're willing to go the extra mile and do things ahead of time, recognizing that, you know what, we know in 5 years it's going to be like this, so we're doing this now. Just to let you know, we're doing some of your dirty work for you, no problems. That's one of our biggest things, and approach with humility. That's the biggest thing. I mean, I can only gather, based on what I'm seeing, that we've been approaching the government all wrong in terms of just being adversarial or being a bit combative or just trying to be pushy. It hasn't worked. We don't have anything yet. Thank you.
Nick, you're on. And by the way, we're allowing a minute and a half for each response. So, sorry, I should have pointed that out.
Thanks. So traffic is complicated. It has provincial and local issues. One of the big things is long-term planning. Throop Road was discussed connecting to Phillips Road 20 years ago. We're having a referendum probably for it next general election. We should have had a referendum for it 10 years ago when there was more traffic, more population than 20 years ago when it was deemed too expensive. Inflation is constant. Everything is going to cost more later. That doesn't mean we can or should build everything now, but it does mean that we should be looking ahead and making plans. And instead of doing one referendum, having multiple referendums gives us flexibility. A referendum being a yes vote to borrowing for a project does not mean we have to do the project. It means if provincial and federal matching funds become available, we can say, we have pre-approval to borrow this, let's go. We can just do it now and actually move on something instead of saying, yeah, we want that federal money, wait 2 years and we'll have another referendum. No, get pre-approval for the major projects that we know we need to do, get pre-approval, then we can be in a better position for asking the province, asking the feds to do their part. In terms of through Sooke traffic, we absolutely need a connector that is faster. I would strongly think slower roads for most roads, faster roads for connector roads. Thanks.
Thanks, Nick. Herb?
Yeah, it seems like a pretty easy question if you look at it from a small point of view, but we're running a huge deficit federally, running a huge deficit provincially, and the District of Sooke has very little money in reserves to be able to do any of this infrastructure improvement that we want so fixed. So what do? You do the best with what you have. You do what your grandparents told you back in the day. So realistically, do we have the ability to borrow $50 million or $60 million for another road improvement without carrying some debt over to taxpayers and some debt over to our kids and people who still can't afford to live in the houses they have now? No, we have to build with what we have. I fully believe that this Sooke Road connector, which is probably the biggest one on the table right now to be able to alleviate some of the traffic issues in Sooke and to help out a big area, which is Sun River, which has in the greater area of Phillips Road over 1,000 houses. To be able to get that traffic off of Sooke Road and be able to come into town, into the city of Sooke, without having to drive out where all the traffic is stuck. We have to start thinking smaller. Just build 2 layers of pavement, run the cars through, and then development groups who build on those properties, because it's all raw land in that area, will build the sidewalks, they'll build the street lights, they'll put in the infrastructure as they build. Right now, we can just get traffic moving, put the roads through, and let's face it, in the long run, provincial government's not going to give us money. They don't have any money to give us. So we can keep asking them and pulling on their apron strings and expecting them to come up with all this cash, but it's not going to happen. I don't expect it to happen. You got all these other communities that are in similar boats to us, and they're being asked the same as we are, do best with what you have. And that's what we're going to have to do in Sooke, unfortunately.
Thanks, Herb. Nathan?
Traffic and infrastructure. Traffic congestion is a major issue for this town, impacting our quality of life and the economic vitality of our town. My top infrastructure priorities for the next 4 years include targeting road improvements. Addressing bottlenecks on Sooke Road through strategic upgrades will help improve the traffic flow. I will work collaboratively with the Ministry of Transportation to help secure provincial funding for these vital projects and ensure a reasonable timeline for completion. These projects will require collaboration with multiple stakeholders in order to maximize the positive impacts on the community and minimize the disruption while these construction projects are underway. We also need to enhance pedestrian and cyclist infrastructure. Our roads right now are unsafe. Improving pedestrian safety at key locations through upgraded sidewalks, crosswalks, and improved lighting will increase our community walkability and cycling infrastructure. This initiative will require also collaboration and support from the community to ensure that projects are implemented in a timely, costly, effective, and accountable manner. Sustainable transit options. A feasibility study for expanded bus service, including new routes, will provide sustainable, long-term approach to addressing congestion and improving accessibility across Sooke. I will work with BC Transit in the planning and securing of funding to develop and improve these transportation options in a fair and equitable manner. This aligns with the community needs as detailed so far out in the official community plan. This will also require careful consideration of budget requirements and projected increased demand over the next 25 years. We will need a multi-pronged approach requiring collaboration and strong advocacy at all levels of government to implement this plan with a reasonable time frame. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Nathan. Elaine?
So, traffic. Congestion's not an easy fix, nor is it going to be quickly resolved. We have to acknowledge that. We know that Sooke is a bedroom community, so traffic is moving into the city twice a day, well, in and out. I definitely endorse transit improvements, increased frequency during peak morning and afternoon rush hours, and perhaps smaller shuttle buses for within community itself. That was something that was used effectively in my previous home in Surrey. But the smaller shuttle buses in narrow residential areas might be an efficient way for transit to be much more accessible within the community. Again, everybody has mentioned the Throop Road connector. It has to happen. And if there's a referendum, we have to agree to put that road in, because it's the only way that we're going to be able to get traffic off of Sooke Road. Just as importantly is a second bridge. I know we as a community can't do anything about it unless we advocate with the ministry. So get to know the Deputy Ministers of Transport and meet with them regularly and hound them regularly to get some of the things that we need. Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine. Helen.
Okay. Believe it or not, it seems that the Ministry of Transportation is listening to Sooke, and there are improvements coming. So I just wanted to share some of the things I've learned by attending council meetings recently. There is a third lane engineered from Phillips Road all the way to Church Road. And there will be right turn lanes on critical streets. There will be a transit pullout so the buses can get off the road instead of blocking the road. Some of you might have attended the Ministry of Transportation's the Idlemore and Cicino School intersections improvements last night. I was talking to the planner there, kind of asking him what we can do as a community to advocate. And he said that actually all the highway crossings for the other schools are now currently on his desk. So that is great news. In 2026, there will apparently be a referendum to see if Sooke wants to go ahead with the Throop Road connector. Currently, it's estimated with quite a large contingency to be about $50 million, but staff is actively going after grants, and they're hoping that they can, if they're successful, they can bring that down into probably the mid $20 million. And also the Transportation Master Plan is scheduled for an update later this year. And the role of that plan really is to move traffic off the highway and efficiently through our local streets. So I encourage you all to read up on it and be prepared to come out and talk about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Helen. Katherine.
Again, save the best for last. We all know traffic congestion is one of the top concerns here in Sooke. I've heard that from residents as I've been door knocking and over the last year that I've been attending council meetings, and possibly longer. I feel strongly that we do need to invest in public transit options, enhancing road safety and active transportation routes, and pushing forward with the upgrades identified in our Transportation Master Plan and our Climate Action Plan. I'll leverage my relationship with the provincial and federal governments to secure funding and clear timelines, including the Throop Road connector. We do need safer roads, sidewalks, crossings, and adequate lighting throughout Sooke, but particularly in the town core. This is critical not only for public safety, but to support our economic development vision. That means showing how our projects align with broader transportation goals and advocating through collaborative, persistent dialogue. We desperately need a healthcare facility, senior center, more childcare and schools. Sooke deserves infrastructure that grows with our community, not behind it, and I'm ready to help us get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Katherine. So that was our first question. The second one is dealing with economic development and environmental stewardship, and it reads exactly as, how do you plan to support local businesses and foster sustainable economic development, as mentioned in the OCP, while maintaining the character, charm, natural beauty, and biodiversity of Sooke? So we're going to go in reverse order. So Katherine, you're back on again.
left my glasses on. Firstly, I am deeply committed to economic development. You may have heard that earlier, that works for everybody. I am actively working towards strengthening our economic base here in Sooke, and it is important that any plans include First Nations partners. Supporting local businesses and sustainable economic development go hand in hand with protecting with what makes Sooke special. Over the next year, and perhaps longer, I'll champion initiatives that strengthen our local economy, like investing in our town centre, simplifying permitting processes, and supporting entrepreneurs and green businesses that reflect our values. At the same time, I'll ensure growth respects our official community plan by encouraging smart, small-scale development that aligns with our rural character and safeguards our natural beauty and biodiversity. Economic growth doesn't mean giving up our identity. It means planning thoughtfully, listening to our community, and building a vibrant future that still feels like home. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Helen.
I prefer the term community economic development. Back to a plan, it is development that is based on our community vision. Obviously, local business helps create jobs, provides services, keeps the shopping local, funds infrastructure and amenities that our community desperately needs. What matters to me, and I hope to the rest of Sooke too, is that development aligns with community vision. We want development that is unique to Sooke, and that works for people that live here and the businesses and gives them the space. We don't need big box stores. We need little, small, we need walkable communities. We need little coffee shops and home-based places for home-based businesses to expand. We're so lucky to have this incredible natural setting, and I really want to revitalize our town core. One of the top things in the official community plan is to redo our town center plan. Our current town center plan is from 2008, and we desperately need a redo. We need to connect our trails and sidewalks. We need to support local entrepreneurship and really make the most of our waterfront so that people want to come here and they want to stay and they want to spend money and enjoy. And I really think we can have both. We can have economic development that strengthens our community while still preserves what makes Sooke so unique. The good news is, from attending council meetings, we have a hotel tax coming. So this is paid by visitors when they stay overnight. It's an accommodation tax, and apparently it could raise up to $500,000 a year that will be spent on the beautification and promotion of Sooke. So let's use that money wisely.
Thank you. Elaine.
In the absence of major industries, small retail has been the mainstay and standard in Sooke. This has produced a largely commuter population. Council has an obligation to control the location and design of any new proposed development to ensure that the development meets the real needs of the community and maintains a West Coast aesthetic. Any new business should be in response to the wants and needs of the community, but must also respect the character and natural beauty of this area. Someone mentioned tonight in the roundtables that we desperately need light industrial as well, and I thoroughly agree with him. So thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Nathan.
Economic development and environmental stewardship. Balancing economic growth and protection for the environment is crucial for Sooke's future. My approach will support local businesses, streamlining our permitting process, offering business mentorship programs and marketing campaigns, and exploring the innovative funding opportunities that will support Sooke's entrepreneurial ecosystem. I will advocate for funding to support these efforts and will strive to work in neighboring communities to address these concerns and to increase cooperation to better support all businesses within the region, including the CRD. 2, sustainable economic development. Supporting sustainable tourism and incentivizing green building practices according to the OCP guidelines, and attracting business committed to environmental responsibility will provide residents with a greater financial security and increase the job opportunities with an environmentally responsible framework. Environmental protection. Protecting our natural beauty starts with collaborative land use planning that respects our environmental carrying capacity. It prioritizes green spaces and protects sensitive ecosystems. This requires working closely with the Sooke Nation and environmental groups, including regular meetings and open forums to ensure that all voices are heard, valued, and respected in this process. My plan will support long-term economic and ecological health of Sooke, and I will ensure that all projects are sustainably implemented so that we may continue to enjoy the natural beauty and biodiversity of this area, while fostering a thriving economy that meets the needs of today while ensuring the needs of tomorrow through responsible and sustainable practices. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Herb.
Yes, economic development, that's a funny thing around our community because we don't have a collaborative effort from the District of Sooke to help businesses in our community. And there's people here from the Chamber and there's people here from small business, and I talked to a bunch of them at my table there. It's next to impossible to get a building permit in this town. You have to wait 3 and 4 years for commercial buildings and whatnot. I mean, that's not conducive to building a collaborative, vibrant downtown commercial community. We have an official community plan that doesn't embrace pre-zoning in our downtown area, because to rezone a piece of property in Sooke can take anywhere from 3 to 5 years, just depending on what the expectations are, where the building standards are at that time. And of course, you have the community who's always looking for, again, in the biodiversity part, saving trees or saving something that's on the property. Most properties have to be leveled. That's the sad reality to it. You build up the buildings and then you landscape them, you plant brand new trees, brand new shrubs, and so on. If the District of Sooke wants diversity, if they want commercial development, then they have to be the ones to get out of the way. They have to let people come in here, be able to build the stuff that we so desperately need in the community. And to give you an idea about the whole thing, we have CRD parks, we have CRD watersheds, we have all this stuff that goes on in this community, and they all sit on the outskirts of Sooke. So we have lots of diversity here already, especially through environmental stewardship that we have to pay for with the CRD already. We need to pre-zone property, and it needs to happen if you want things to change in the downtown of Sooke. Thank you.
Thanks, Herb. Nick.
So we definitely do need pre-zoning. The amount of time it takes for rezoning is too long. We can preemptively zone specific areas. It's done around the world, it's efficient, it's effective. At the same time, yes, we are surrounded by parkland. We have thousands of hectares of watershed. That's not the same as within Sooke. Within our downtown core, we actually have very little parkland. Within any development, instead of prioritizing development cost charges, we should be prioritizing land. Get all of the seasonal creeks transferred when doing a development. Get the coastline transferred to the District of Sooke as a park when doing development. This is more important than money. Money will be spent. Land will only get more valuable. We need to prioritize saving the land that we choose is valuable for long-term, for perpetuity, in fact, at the same time as making development simpler, especially of commercial land. Commercial costs for rent in Sooke average about 30% higher than the rest of the CRD because of our lack of commercial space. That's a pretty hefty charge to make a small business work in Sooke. We need more commercial space. We should be making it easier to do it. We don't want just everything to happen at once, but we can make it easy to plan for the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Shaun.
So I keep hearing a lot about downtown core, downtown core. Sooke is more than the downtown core. We should be able, with, as many people have said today, pre-zoning, absolutely. We should make an online portal for permitting, so it's a one-stop shop. You go there, here's what you need, here's who you contact when you have a question, here's the real-time tracking, done. We need to develop Sooke on a more sustainable level, and by sustainable, I mean a more varied and balanced level. People who move to Sooke, be it a business or for residential, move to Sooke because they love Sooke. They don't want to see parking lots. They don't want to see all this junk that you'll see in like a big city. They want to remain Sooke, but they acknowledge that we don't have any services within reason here. When you want to go buy a pair of shoes, you have to go to Langford for shoes. When you want a doctor, assuming you can find one, you probably are going elsewhere where you're telecommuting in. When you want anything, you end up going there. So the environmental aspect of it, because it becomes, if we can develop Sooke in a smart way and have services here, people won't be driving places. People will be walking places. And this also builds into what the OCP wants to do, which is we want more walking people, we want more pedestrian, more cyclists. We can do it, but we have to develop to do it. We can't just sit on a wait and think that someone's going to show up and with a magic blank checkbook and be like, yeah, I'd love to pay 30% more. It's not going to happen. We have to develop smart. Thanks.
Thank you. So now we come to our last prepared question, and that has to deal with housing and affordability, and it states, what specific strategies would you support or implement to address the growing need for affordable and attainable housing in Sooke, especially for young families, seniors, and essential workers? I'm just going to, okay, we're going to start in the middle of the list here. Nathan, you're on first.
So the topic of housing and affordability. Addressing housing affordability is crucial for this town. My strategies will support to ensure that all Sooke residents have access to affordable housing. I will aggressively pursue government funding for new units and rental options tailored to the needs of the young families of the community, seniors and essential workers. This includes inclusionary zoning. This will mandate a percentage of affordable units in new developments, ensuring that our community offers increased housing for those who need it the very most. These efforts must be undertaken in a responsible manner that doesn't compromise the integrity of the official community plan, nor negatively impacts the quality of other developments. To incentivize development of the supportive housing options, I will work creatively to potential developers to address increasing needs, suitable accommodations to meet the needs of all residents, including those most vulnerable. These efforts will require addressing concerns about affordability, safety, access, and environmental stewardship, and the developing of collaborative plans to meet those needs. These strategies will directly benefit young families, seniors, and will, sorry, lost my train of thought. Basically, the idea is that we want to be able to provide a portion of sustainable, affordable housing for those who need it most in the community. And the cost of that needs to be borne on more than just the municipality or developers. I think the province needs to kick in some funds if they want to see. I don't believe that sustainable subsidized housing should be borne by the new market buyer. So that is the one concern. I will work for finding funding for affordable housing. Thank you.
Okay, my random name generator picked Helen for next.
That's a tough question. As a municipality, we see this issue every day, but truly the solutions and the money need to come from higher levels of government. That said, from a municipal perspective, secondary suites are now allowed in all builds, so that's a good thing. Perhaps there's a way we can incentivize homeowners that have large lots to build second, smaller homes. I know there's a low-interest federal loan program for this. There's lots of prefab tiny homes and things that we could explore. And really just smaller homes in general. I think we can all live happily in smaller spaces, in more dense densification. You know, as long as we have good public amenities, if we're going to live in a condo and stuff, we need parks, we need green space, we need recreation areas to get outside. I'd also just say better transit plays into it. Save us money on vehicle ownership. Imagine if we got to a place in Sooke where families only needed to have one car. To me, that would be amazing. But, you know, truly affordable housing is impossible without nonprofit housing groups, partnerships with nonprofit housing groups, which is happening now. We have the Hope Center, we have our BC Housing Project, and those projects have literally been lifesavers to people in our community. Also, Air Manor has land and has been waiting for VHA funding for years. I'd love to see that happen. And a little bit of good news is that Francis Garden Co-op in Sooke is expanding, and their expansion includes a daycare. So there you are. There is some good news.
Thanks, Helen. And our next guest is going to be Nick.
So absolutely, the impact of federal, provincial, and nonprofits is highly impactful for cost of living in terms of rent and assisted rent. It is not the only solution. To actually lower property costs, we need to do a lot more, both at the municipal level and at the advocacy level. At the municipal level, development cost charges have been rising all across Canada from multiple levels of government. We need to prioritize not getting that money. Yes, that money is useful. It's needed often, but it is going to become politically advantageous in terms of federal pushes as well as in terms of just our own people having affordable housing to lower those costs. And another major issue is interest rates. Obviously, Sooke has zero control of interest rates, but most developments involve loans. With a high interest rate or a low interest rate, the amount of money that's spent is entirely based on how long you're holding the property. If the property takes 5 years to develop because you couldn't get a zoning change for 4 years, that's a lot of money that is being spent on banks rather than on development, and actually that money is then directly factored into the purchase price. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Next person is going to be Katherine.
First, let me say that housing is a human right, and I'm ready to take action to make that a reality for everyone. Housing affordability is one of the most pressing issues in Sooke and the broader region, and I'm committed to solutions that reflect our community's needs and values. I support policies that prioritize diverse, affordable housing options, like encouraging gentle density, supporting non-market and co-op housing models, and fast-tracking applications that align with our official community plan. We also need to work with partners, First Nations, nonprofits, developers, and higher levels of government to secure funding and land for projects that serve our families, seniors, and essential workers in Sooke. We can also ensure that any new housing fits our climate action plan with solar-ready, renewable, and low-emission energy options and protecting green space and wildlife. At the same time, I'll advocate for development that fits within our West Coast small town feel and protect our environment. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Elaine.
I'm encouraged to see that Bylaw 925, the subdivision and development bylaw, is coming to council shortly for final approval. The intent, according to our mayor, is to provide clarity to builders and long-term livability for residents. And the bylaw will establish clear and consistent standards for developers, as well as allow for simpler requirements for small subdivisions. Simplifying the process should encourage builders to create more affordable and attainable housing. Senior levels of government have a responsibility for funding of affordable housing, supportive housing. BC Housing and nonprofit housing are an imperative. Tiny homes for the currently unhoused. And developmental costs currently increase the cost of all homes. So we have to be cautious in what we're adding to our developers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Shaun.
So we're kind of in a lucky situation right now in the sense that the provincial government is working to try and find housing for people. The federal government has now got that on their radar, and we have it. So I think there's a lot of collaboration that can happen amongst these branches that we may not necessarily be taking care of right now, where we can start to work on these things and come up with some new concepts. I think pre-zoning and unified zoning would be great. I think encouraging people to build tiny homes on their properties if they can, or a carriage house. And I think that ties directly into the online permitting. I'm willing to wager that there's a fair amount of people that were considering it, and then when they looked at the steps, they're like, oh, you know what, too much. And I think that's something that we could definitely change, and I think we could encourage that, and that's how we can help solve the crisis in the meantime through that kind of action. I do think that we have to acknowledge that our previous approach probably wasn't the best approach. I don't think anyone anticipated the housing crisis to blow up like this. I think developers have been hesitant to work with Sooke for numerous reasons. And I think that if we can go to those developers and we can go to the governments and say, you know what, we need to do a different way of doing things. So what do you suggest we do? Not necessarily doing it, but taking into account and working on a new solution that's going to make sense for everybody. But as it stands now, if we can diversify our economy as well, we're not going to have as much of a problem with the seasonal worker aspect because we'll have a diversified economy. Thank you.
Last speaker is Herb.
So to keep in remembering that senior levels of government is still your money, it's still money you have to put into those coffers to make all this stuff work. The problem we're running into right now, and if you look at the provincial rules where they want you to build 4 places on one piece of property, it's going to somehow change the world and make everything easier for everybody. Well, it's not going to, because they haven't put anything in place to make it all happen. To give you an idea, in 2018, building costs were about $150 to $180 a square foot. They're upwards of $300 to $350 a square foot now, and that's only happened in 7 years. So we've doubled the cost per square foot of what it is to build a house, and then we're talking about affordable housing and trying to make stuff work. Senior levels of government have these step code levels. They keep pushing everybody to a higher and higher level. We build the most comprehensive, the highest cost of housing in the world. Nowhere else are they building houses to the standards that we're building now, and we have one standard for a fits all. Everybody in this room here has the option of buying an electric car, a Mercedes, or whatever they want. And then other people in this room have the option of buying a Volkswagen Bug. That'd be it. We should have the same option for housing. We shouldn't be building only one quality, one style of housing, which is only the Cadillac version. We have labor issues here. The people that are building these houses can't even afford to live in them. So you look at it from this point of view, that we're going to make everything work for everybody in a community, and it's impossible. Not with the way we're doing governance now. We have competing materials around the world, so people in British Columbia are paying more for materials than they are in China. So we need to start doing something to fix that. And right now, we need to get the square foot cost down and start building homes that are more reasonable. Thank you.
Thanks, Herb. Well, that concludes the formal part of this evening's session. I hope you enjoyed this evening. We learned ourselves about how we should run these. I hope you learned what you wanted to learn in order to make an informed decision about who you vote for in the by-election coming up. But I have some very specific thank yous. I want to thank the Legion for providing us with this space and helping with the facilities and equipment. I want a special thanks to Frank Antonson, who's our videographer, who's done a banner job. I want to thank the Sooke Chamber of Commerce, Deb, who worked very hard with us to set this all up, to publicize it. I want to thank you, the voters, for showing the interest in coming here and your expression of trying to learn more about what are the issues in Sooke and what do the candidates offer for that. So thank you for attending, but I especially want to thank you, the candidates. I'm not sure we understand the amount of time that you take away from your families, from your friends, from your normal lifestyle, and we really acknowledge or want to acknowledge that we appreciate that sacrifice for the time that you're spending. So thank you so much. So that concludes. If you have feedback, we would be very interested to hear from you, because this was a new format for us tonight. The round table rather than just prepared questions. We'd love to hear from you, because every time we do these, we've done it for provincial, federal, and municipal elections, we learn a little bit more, and we're trying to get better and better at it. So if you have some thoughts, some ideas, feedback, positive or negative, please let us know. But on behalf of the SMBI, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, thank you for attending and have a great evening.